Okay, let's delve further into today's developments. I'm happy to say that Dr. Robert Gutsche, an Associate Professor of US Politics at Britain's Lancaster University, joins us on the programme. Good to see you, Robert. Just first of all, what did you make of the transcript? Does it indicate Trump abused his presidential powers? Were you expecting more? Were you expecting less?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think your correspondent is right that there isn't a mention of this military aid. Now, certainly, that transcript alone isn't going to be evidence to move forward with this inquiry. I mean, I think the government's position or the Congress position would be looking at the other comments that Donald Trump has made either on Twitter, in other public venues, or behind closed doors that have been recorded into official records. So that transcript that we're looking at is just a glimpse. But also, that's
the point, isn't it? That given that the transcript is not a verbatim record of the conversation, is it likely in reality to have been more damning?
Well, maybe. I mean, when we looked at Nixon, for instance, we had tapes of Johnson, we have tapes, recordings of conversations from the Oval Office that have been used in other types of questioning of presidential conduct. So this is just a glimpse at what we're looking at. But certainly an inquiry could open up lots of doors that we haven't even considered yet about presidential conduct or misconduct that may have been going on around this particular instance or others.
Could this be seen as a calculated risk by the Trump administration to let this transcript out? Because it's going to put focus not only on Donald Trump himself, but also, of course, on Joe Biden, who's his closest rival for the 2020 run for the White House, and his son. Now, there is no explicit claims that he was involved in wrongdoing with this business in Ukraine. But if an investigation does happen and it's found out that something did occur, it could damage his chances as well.
Well, that's a great question, and that's one that you're not seeing a lot in mainstream U.S. press. You're not seeing questions about, well, could this also be distracting us from what Joe Biden and his son and others have been involved in? Maybe there really is something there. That's a question that's not coming through. Really, the questions that are being asked, and the hope, I think, for those who are anti-Trump, is that this leads into really great leaked information or juicy information, not about Joe Biden, but about Donald Trump, for the people who are upset with his politics. And this could be a way to move us away from what Joe Biden might be involved in, if anything.
It did appear that in the build-up to this, that the $400 million, just shy of that of military aid, there had been talk by the Democrats that it was going to be suspended before this July phone call. Nothing about that is mentioned, and that is really, it seems, what Nancy Pelosi was hanging her hat on in impeachment process to get that aspect really clamped down and make it the issue of the impact. If that's not there, how does this inquiry evolve now?
Well, again, certainly this isn't the only communication that's being had between the president and his supporters, or the president and people who work for him, and the Ukrainian government or others. So there may be other cables, there may be other communications, emails, testimony of people about conversations that have been had outside of just this 1 3-minute conversation or the transcript of that communication. So I think that this investigation is really hinging on, are there other pieces? You remember, this was a whistleblower situation where somebody said, I heard this thing, let's take it to the Department of Justice, see if there's anything criminal here, and then let's take it to the House and see if there are any other interests involved here beyond just this 3-minute conversation, in which, when you read it, is kind of just a laughable back and forth accolades going across the ocean. And so this will just be a part of what they'll be looking for in other testimony or other documents that might exist.
Yeah, thanks for fleshing that out for us and coming on the programme. Associate Professor of US Politics, Dr. Robert Gutsche from Britain's Lancaster University.